So this is your goal, right? You're going to create some sort of an image. It can't just be pretty patterns, right? It needs to be something that I can say, oh, look, that's a bunny, something that makes sense what it is. Totally up to you what you draw. Obviously, there's standards you want to hit for the rules, right? It needs to have at least 4 different types of graphs. You guys know way more types of graphs than that if you use trig and everything else we've learned, right? At least 1 inequality, because that'll shade. A total of 15 different equations, which will happen really quick. You need to restrict the domain on at least 5 of them, which you're probably going to have to restrict the domain on almost all of them, so that would happen. There are infinite number of graphing art projects on the web. If you search Batman and choose to steal someone else's project, guess what? I can search Batman and do the exact same thing and find the exact same one you're turning in, right? Plagiarism will be reported and result in a 0. So here's the rubric. You need to make sure you use all 4 types of graph. That's worth 10 points, right? You multiply these. You need to make sure you use 1 inequality or more. That's worth 5 points. I mean, it's a rubric. 15 or more equations. That's 5 times 4. That's 20 of your points. So just make sure you follow the directions. And then how basic or creative you get is worth an extra, well, not extra, but is worth 5 of the 50 points. So keep an eye on the rubric. Again, here's my example down here. It was very exciting this year. Desmos has gone and added a thing where you can choose your own colors. When you get to Desmos on your own and you start a new graph, that's what you guys are going to be doing, right? When you type in y equals x and you click on this dot, these are the colors you have right now. But if you do an RGB search, red, it doesn't matter. You just get to one, right? Get to the RGB search. Then you can find any color you want, basically. So I searched red. There's an easier way to do this. RGB code, GB code picker. Here we go. So you can literally pick any color you want. Like if I'm looking for something in the purple family, but I want it to be this color purple, it will give you the RGB code. And then you type it into Desmos. Maybe make a folder just for your colors. Label your folder so you know what's in it. You just pick a letter, A equals, it needs to be a letter you're not using anywhere else in your RGB parentheses, paste that in. Now that color shows up right here, right? But that doesn't matter. You can close that folder. Now when I click here, look, that color is one of my options now. So you have no idea how excited I was. I don't care if I sound like a geek, that you were able to pick literally any colors you wanted now. And then, like I said, inequalities, shade, and then restrictions will make it so that it doesn't go on forever, right? So I'll give you a brief. What if I only want that, let's see, domain. You can do domain or range. What if I only want it to go from 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 10? Then it'll only do that domain that I picked. You can also do it for the range. If I change that to y, now it's only going 0 to 10 on the range. So there's lots of ways you can restrict the domain or the range or a combination of them. So you want to create an image. There is also a way to animate using Desmos. Again, if you're going to want to get super creative, you're just going to want to play with it, look into it, Google it. But see on this equation, which when you click on it, it kind of makes the equation darker, right? That's the mouth of my bunny. I put an A at the front because that's the stretch factor. So then it automatically gives you this slider. So when you press play, and I chose where I wanted the slider to go from, so let's change this. Maybe I only want it to go from -5 to +5. So you can choose your steps or your domain, and you can choose how it clicks, but I don't really need to do that. Now it's going to go, see my mouth is animated now. He's a sad bunny. He's a happy bunny, etc. So you can use variables, which will give you sliders, and you can animate your graph. That is an option, and it is an option for extra credit. So if you want to earn extra credit, you can animate a portion of your graph. Now, if you turn in some sort of like a turtle and you make it smile and frown, I'm not giving you extra credit for that because I just taught you how to do that. You need to use the animation in a different way if you'd like to get extra credit, but it is optional. Let me show you one more example, but I won't show you how I did it. And here's an example of using folders, right? The more elaborate you guys make this, the more equations you're going to have. So I suggest if you're working on the eyes, you make a folder for the eyes and you write all your equations in that folder. Then if you're working on the eyelashes, etc., it's going to be so much easier for you guys. Honestly, I mean, you can see right here, this is folder. It's actually line 27. And then there's however many. I have 29 equations here, but I organize them by folder so I can make it work easier. The other thing I want you to notice is my animation is already happening. You need to press play on whatever it is. Obviously, I have an animation in the eyes and the mouth. You need to press play and then save it. Then when you share the link and I open it, it'll already be animated, right? I don't want to have to search for these little buttons and press play. If it's not animated when I open it, I'm going to have no idea that you had animated it. Let me show you guys some examples. Okay, so a couple examples from past years. Here is Cookie Monster, and they animated the cookie going in and out of his mouth. To have the cookie and the chips move at the exact same time, that's more complicated than you think, but totally doable. Here's someone's Avengers emblem. And I don't want to show you too many examples because I want you guys to come up with your own thing. Here is a tank based on Shell Shock Live. So these are just some examples. The bunny meets the bare minimum score. It would get 50 out of 50. Maybe not that 5 points. Where's my rubric? It might get 47, right? It's going to get 3 points for creativity. It actually looks like an object, but it's not very elaborate. And if it wasn't doing anything, a lot of thought into the color and details, it might get 47 points. That's still an A, right? Or you can add animation and maybe you can get 55 out of 50. So it's totally up to you how much work and time and effort you put into this. Changing the color, now that that's a new thing, that's going to be a lot more creativity you can put into this. So I hope you guys have fun with it, and I hope I get to see some cool projects.